Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good day today. So let's get into the topic. My on-screen pen currently isn't working, so we're gonna have to make the best out of it. Currently we have Hurricane Lee getting closer to the Bahamas. It will be missing them. That's a good thing. We have Invest 97L and Invest 98L around Africa where the islands are. Invest 97L has quite a low chance of developing here, but the other one has a higher chance. Let's pull up Radar Omega. Okay, so as we can see, this is Paria, and these are the two systems we can see right here. This is Invest 97L, this is Invest 98L. These two storms are going to merge and become something bigger. We have another tropical wave coming off of Africa that we'll have to keep an eye on it, but that's not the main focus here. So it's starting to develop. It has this weak center of rotation here, not developed. And we have a little bit of rotation with both of these storms, not that concerning. Lee is sustained Category 3 strength, and it will stay like that for a little while, and then it will become a Category 4 for a little bit, but not major intensification as we saw before. Went up to a 5, but then weakened severely. The 4, we didn't even know it was gonna weaken this much. Our forecast models did not say that. It kind of lost a bit of its eye, but then it started to dip back down. Some of that wind shear hits it. I'm gonna kind of just goes over some stuff that doesn't always help. Jamaica, Lesser Antilles, Jamaica and Dominican Republic are seeing cirrus. Nothing major. Main core of the system is staying away. Here we have Hurricane Lee here, and then as you can see, it still has a lot more convection, and it's starting to form that eye up again, even though it did have a decent it had a bit of a larger eye before. As you can see, we're mainly focusing on here are these two systems that are around Africa, but they are still they are starting to get out a little bit further and see. You can see they start to have this rotation. I'll try to get some pen going here, but we have a 10% chance on Invest 97L, and then we have two of these systems which are going to collide with each other. Caribbean on the watch. East of Florida needs to be on the watch all the way up till Virginia. It needs to monitor at least, and so do the Bahamas, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, border islands, Lesser Antilles. Those areas still need to keep an eye on what's going to happen here. So these are the systems that we're tracking right here. 10% chance over the next 2 days, 70% chance over the 7 days, 10% chance in 2 days, 10% chance in 7 days. Wind. So these areas are starting to collide rotations. Icon already has that going. Wind speeds are going to start to kick up pretty soon. Wind speeds are going up to maybe 20 at max. We're seeing for wind gusts, though, those are sustained 20 miles per hour. As we go through the next day, we can see that it becomes more of a whole center of rotation. As the time goes by, we can see that this storm definitely starts to build that speed up in the area of where the center of rotation starts to build that traction of higher winds. We can see this by September 14th. We are now having this area that goes up to 38 mile per hour wind gusts southwest, moving at 39 miles per hour max we're going to see from there. And then the center of circulation, we're going to see maybe around 6 to 7 mile per hour wind gusts. Normal speed 0 at the deadline. Pressure down to 1008. Icon shows it more over here. Still has a bit of a similar agreement. Lowest pressure 1004. Alrighty, let's track this. So we can see that there's a tropical wave that comes off of Africa that builds low pressure, starts to make that rotation, gets quite close to the border islands right there. Like, that is closer than before. Then we can see it wrap around, then come back down. Could this go back to Africa? And then we have this other wave right there that I made this red box. Kind of looks like a swirl up. Doesn't have a low pressure area yet, that it doesn't indicate it immediately. So this is the other model, and you can see that it makes that swirl. It agrees. We have more tropical waves coming off, and then it gets pretty close, but then it makes that turn and it hits as a 957 and gets a lot closer to Maine, then kind of goes up to Canada. One of these situations can be likely or could happen, but I still really feel like a lot of things are going to change. I don't quite believe it. We do have 3 of these high pressure systems that are just kind of blocking it from going where Margot is. Then we have 2 high pressure systems keeping it away from Virginia and keeping it away from going up north, which is the reason why it's kind of hard to say, but then those kind of stays there. But then that high pressure kind of starts to drift away and dissipates. So then there's not really any high pressure that comes to save it, except right around here, which is not going to be saving it from anything. And then it just drifts off. But then we have these other low pressure areas, like in the main development region, which is Eastern Atlantic. We have this other one that's in the Caribbean that doesn't seem like it's going to do really anything. It's just some low pressure area. We have this other 999 low pressure system next to Central America. This is the True Color satellite. We can see Hurricane Lee. You can see that we have Margot it's going to advance to a hurricane pretty soon. Then we have those tropical waves in Africa, around Africa, I should say. Still do not need that. This is the radar of Florida. We can see that towards the northern areas, right to the east coast of Florida, Jacksonville, you can see some severe weather is happening over there. We have this heavy rain that's away from Englewood, unfortunately, and it will not be doing anything to Englewood. You already saw that. Radar. So you can tell right here, we have this severe weather with some special weather statements. Still brings up risks. Hazard, almost 1-inch hail and 60 mile per hour winds. So there are hazards with this whole area of heavy rain. Over here, we have this pretty big blob of rain. It is intensifying. I should say. I'd say this is a 2-celled storm by now. Could become a multi. It's possible. I do not doubt it. You can see where the hail is. Right there. And even in special weather statements, where that other storm is, though, not seeing any hail. It's a good thing. If we go into the single site radar, we can go to base velocity. You can see right there. That's where some of the more areas of stronger things are happening. Because we have stronger areas of wind going away from the radar, and a lot of wind that's going quite fast to the radar, and that's mixing with each other, starting to make that hook. Not a tornado, but definitely that thing needs to be watched. Nothing really bad over here, just some average velocity. And yeah, that's that. If we go to the satellite view here, and we go to Atlantic Basin, we can see where the main showers and thunderstorms and tropical development is. We can see that there's a lot of stuff just in the more southern areas. We have Lee, we have Margot, we have tropical waves, Invest 97L, Invest 98L. If we go over towards the Caribbean, we can see that there was some leftover convection around Central America that will not be developing into anything, as it is losing its convection quite fast. So that's that. Gulf of Mexico, relatively quiet. That's the central part. You can see that it is quite lucky that this storm is pretty far away from Jamaica, the border islands, and the Dominican Republic. It being 50 miles closer could bring tropical storm conditions, potentially, not guaranteed, but possible. Slightest miles, like if it were to be 100 miles closer, that'd be a problem. But that is not the case, which is a good thing. We'll keep an eye on Lee. It's gonna be a wait and see with Hurricane Lee, because it's just staying off of land. So all we can really do is track the forecast of what it's gonna do. Most of them, basically all the models have now made an agreement that it's going to be doing basically the same thing as we thought of. Some things have changed, of course, but not all of it. So we have Lee here. It's not even going to really get close to Florida. It's going to kind of make it's going to go above Nova Scotia. Maine, not as big as a threat anymore. That's going to drift off and just spin out. It's not going to really be doing anything after that. It's just going to leave. Then we have Nigel. That comes a lot closer to Florida and a lot closer to the Bahamas. And it's also a lot closer to the Dominican Republic and Jamaica. But it seems just far enough that it won't really make any major impacts. And it's just going to go right through what this model is saying, not guaranteed, not dictating a specific area that it says, but it's possible Then this model shows that it's going to swirl up, then it's going to go still quite close to Florida, then it's going to wrap back down, which is also a scenario. Not all the models agree with each other, which I've seen. And yeah, that's that. There are some models, however, showing that it will go into the Caribbean and make impacts on the higher areas of the border islands and Dominican Republic. Not that much models, but there's still a lot of non-agreements of what's going to really happen here. It's quite hard to say what it's going to do, but I'll keep an eye on that. Then we have Invest 97, which shows a little bit more models. I mean, about the same models that say that there's gonna hit the Dominican Republic. I don't really believe that, but there's also still a decent amount of models that show that it's gonna become that fish storm and maybe get kind of close to Nova Scotia. But there's also some models that show that it's a lot closer to the Bahamas, and that's like maybe more stronger hurricane, like more top major kind of storm. And that is that. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but that ends and that wraps up the video for today. I'll keep you updated, and make sure to always stay weather ready and prepared for random events that can happen. Bye.